All right, thank you for clicking on the video. We are going to do the scummy YouTuber thing, and we are going to talk about the iRacing development update, which anybody could read. I'm even late to the party as this was released yesterday, but I wouldn't be a YouTuber if I didn't try to capitalize and get as many views as possible. That's kind of a joke. Yeah, we got the development update, May 2025. Where I think we're two weeks before the season ends, so this is a little bit late. But there's a lot of info packed in here, and I'll try to give my take and spin on things. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed this. But let's jump right into it. iRacing first starts out talking about the Indy 500. I believe they were talking record participation, and they highlight Phil Kraus winning that. I am not surprised Phil Kraus won that. He is a very talented Indy driver. And when I was making content for Lionheart, I swear he won every race. We got Robert McKesla. I should be able to pronounce his name. I've raced with him a few times. And Jason Brophy here in the shot. The IndyCar iRacing community is great. I definitely recommend trying out that car, joining in the Discord. But with that, let's jump into what else they talk. As far as new tracks go, it looks like we're getting one new track. It's from Australia, and we are looking at The Bend, as it's referred to, or its government name, Shell V-Power Motorsports Park. I did find this video of the track. I don't know how much of it I can play here without breaking copyright rules. Looks pretty straightforward, kind of flat, not like a Snetterton flat, but a lot of different corners. And from what I could tell from the photo, there's a lot of layout options. I'm assuming this is the start finish straight here. And let me see if I can zoom in on that. Hopefully that works. Okay. I'm assuming this is the start finish straight here. I would love to see a layout where you just kind of turn right here, loop back and do a tiny quick course. But it looks like, I mean, you got probably 10 different options here of layouts. Full length of the circuit is 7.7 kilometers. In American, that is 4.8 miles. And just for a reference, Road America is 4.0 miles. So longer than Road America. And they are claiming it to be, I believe, the second longest purpose-built track. So I'm not sure what the longest is. I could have Googled that. I obviously know how Google works. But yeah, so that's what we're looking at new track wise. Awesome to see new content for the Australians. This looks like it could fit into a lot of series and should be a great addition to the service. A lot of repaved and resurfaced tracks. Iowa had some repaving done, especially on the bottom groove. They've rescanned and are updating that. No surprise there. That's going to be probably in the NASCAR 25 game. Richmond, although the surface was not repaved, a lot of the infrastructure has changed, so we're getting a ground up rebuild there. Sonoma, one of my favorite tracks, that is getting completely redone. It was resurfaced. They actually had some issues with the surface peeling up. That's all been solved and fixed. It looks like iRacing has been out there a couple times. One thing I wish they would add, I highly doubt we're going to get it, is actually a springtime configuration. It would be so awesome if we got a different art style for Sonoma, depending on when we load it in. The track is beautiful, and then NASCAR decides to show up when it's as ugly as possible. So that's what most people see and know. But this is the Bay Area. This is Sonoma in the springtime. Grass is green. That's when NASCAR should be going there. And maybe one day we'll get that art style. Would be great if they squeezed it in here. No mention of it. But that's what we get. Worldwide Tech, or Gateway, is getting an update. As always, Charlotte's making changes and we're getting them in the sim. So expect a new iteration of the Roval. And then North Wilkesboro will debut soon. So soon, keyword in iRacing. They repaid that track. If you just watched All-Star Race last weekend, you've seen it, you know it. If you don't know the history, there's a kind of a read up here. iRacing went out with Dale Jr., cleaned this track up, scanned it, used historical references to rebuild it as it was in 1977. Oh wait, 87. Yeah, I think 87, because that's when the 87 stock cars came. But we're going to get the modern version of it. So super cool there. Lots of stuff updated oval content wise. A lot of that, like I said, is due to the NASCAR game. And like Sonoma, obviously in the NASCAR game, it's just an older track on the service. They're talking about other tracks they have refreshed. Current refreshed tracks in the works would be Coda, Darlington, Daytona, Indianapolis, Lime Rock Park, which I feel like we just got Lime Rock not too long ago, but time flies. Phoenix, Texas, and more. So lots of stuff being updated. Just newer technology, tracks change, technology changes, and it's good to see iRacing keeping up with that. As far as cars go, there is a new car coming. We are getting the Ferrari 296 Challenge. The 296 Challenge, actually that's the car I would want, is basically a higher horsepower, less downforce version of the 296 GT3 car. So they are taking the D class car and making it harder. I'm gonna pull up iRacing in the background here. I would love to check out the statistics on the last Ferrari Challenge race. So just for fun, let's check this out here. Official. Take my sports car challenge, or sorry, Ferrari GT3 challenge. Let's look at results. Where are they at this week even? Let's just see results here. And Thruxton, and we are looking at 555x amongst the top three. 3s and 4s, so not too bad there in top split, which is a 1900 strength of field is top split. But let's check out bottom split, 681 strength of field. We are looking at 5x, 2x, 8x, 10x, 6x. So yeah, let's make that series harder. I love it. Can't wait to check the first race out. I'm being kind of sarcastic there. I don't think that should be a D class series, but I do think it's important we get the proper car. I really wish we get the 348 challenge, kick it some retro old school. That would be super awesome, but that is probably a pipe dream because we all know vintage content on iRacing isn't the most popular, although it is. I'm pretty sure that's a Hot Wheel. It does typically get really good communities around it outside of the 87. As far as other things though, we are getting a pretty big, well, let me not jump ahead of myself here. We are getting, and this is kind of cool, assuming we get it on the IndyCar side. That's a little easier to open that than to zoom in. We are getting the option to look at different body styles in the 3D viewer. If you run the IndyCar, you know there's a speedway, short track variation. And to see your speedway configuration, you have to enter the sim old school. Isn't the end of the world, but it is cool to see that we're getting the ability to bounce between body styles. With the upcoming Gen 4 car, which is the 03 stock car, there will be what they call a stock car body and a speedway stock car. I think we could do a better job naming that since we have like 8,000 stock cars in the sim. But it is cool. We are getting 2 different body variations of that car, and we are able to look at the variations in the paint job. So super cool there. Really good on iRacing for that. Hopefully that floats over to the IndyCar. Also IndyCar, talking that, we are getting some pretty big updates. I'm not going to read all this here, but essentially they're going for real world realism. We're getting updates to some of the aerodynamic aspects of the car, different parts. So like barge boards, tighter windows for setup configurations, and we are getting rain tires, which is awesome. They did show this photo here. We are getting a new steering wheel. One thing that's not going to make the build, but they are working on, is the hybrid. You can see here Regen 1. So it's coming, but they're working on hybrids as a whole. I also would love to know how this guy's name is 61.35. And yeah, updated tire model, updated aero, updated 3D model. Some of that is around the Halo cockpit. I believe there's a speedway and a short track variation of how air gets to the driver. So we're getting all of that. Updated audio, which is cool, and the new steering wheel. The big thing that's coming down the line though is the regen option. So that's pretty cool there. I love the IndyCar. I don't race it enough. We're also getting some of the anti-lag audio. Let's see if I can get that to play. I don't know, I got Spotify playing in the background. So I'll end that there. So you hear some of that Chewbacca gargle as you let off. So that's pretty awesome. A couple things getting another overhaul. The Gen 7 Cup car. They are getting essentially the same tires as the GTP, or the same version of the tire. So we really need to see how that is affected. And GT3, they are getting the updated tires as well. So that gives us Cup cars, GT3, GTP. I don't know if the IndyCar is specifically the latest update of the tire, or if it's just getting an updated tire. But always cool to see see stuff kind of fall in line. It looks like they've put a lot of effort into the GT3 car. Makes sense. The community puts a lot of effort into the GT3 car. I think Le Mans Ultimate is gaining traction, and I feel like iRacing's just working to keep up with that, which is always good. Competition is good. The biggest takeaway is as you slide the tires, I think a lot of iRacers know once you slide a little bit, that tire stays hot for a long time. That surface temperature just sticks there, and it's not really the core temperature of the tire. So if the back end breaks loose, like, you're gonna feel it for maybe a lap or two. Looks like it's going away. They mentioned that the car isn't going to set its fast lap until like maybe lap 3, 4, or 5, depending on how you're driving, how your setup is, which is going to make 2-lap qualifying seem unique. And I say right here, fastest lap set on new tires will be 4th or 5th lap. Tire wear and fall off is going to be a thing. You can kind of save your tires, push for later in the stint, and you're going to essentially want to update your tire or swap your tires at the end of every stint. Not sure how that correlates to real life, but I like that they're upfront and honest with what to expect on the strategy side, and I'm always cool with tires being more challenging and realistic. There's also some bump rates and spring rates of the tires that are being better modeled, so setup should be more realistic, and there's going to be kind of new parameters with the splitter height. So a lot coming with the GT3 cars. Setup shops are probably like that meme where the guy's rubbing his hands together knowing he's about to get some money. But yeah, no, always cool to see updates, especially when we push for realism. We need to see what the community feels about that. One I'm excited for, Lotus 79 is getting rain tires. That car is a handful in the dry. Would love to see how it handles in the wet. We also feel like we got better lighting on the puddles here. They are working on that. That's going to come up here in a bit, but you can kind of really see where the puddle is and how much water is building up there. The BMW M4 GT4 is getting updated to the Evo. Free update. The car will update. Might break your paint job. Got a cough here. Sorry, a little bit of my lingering cold is still hanging around. But we are getting updated steering wheel on the BMW GTP. Not a big deal, but cool. Always like to see that. GT3 or the GTP, they're still working on the hybrid system. That's not going to make this build, but they are working on it, and hopefully it comes out in a good state. I feel like the community should have kind of stepped up and got upset with the hybrid system on the F1 car. I think everyone was cool with that because the McLaren was so complicated, and I think iRacing kind of took the easy way out, implementing the new F1 hybrid to the GTP, and that's where we got here. But I'll move on that. VR is getting some updates. I'm not super savvy on this, but I believe they call it quad view fixed, and it has to do with it's going to try to render less that you don't see and can have more quadrants. So as you look around, it will drop this quadrant but build this quadrant, which should hopefully really help frame rates and all of that in VR. I used to do VR early on with like the original Oculus. It's super awesome, but like I did a 4-hour stint in Daytona wearing an Oculus. That thing got sweaty and gross, and at that point I was like, let's just go to triples. Rain visuals, I mentioned that they're going to kind of rebalance some of the visual stuff, which is great to see. This shot really stands out to me. I believe this is going into turn 1 at Daytona. If you remember the Daytona 24, track got dry, coming to pit road was wet, and it caused a lot of drama, especially in the broadcast split. I thought that was hilarious. It's just, what do you do? Nobody's running on pit entry until they go for it. The water builds up there, but hopefully some better visual cues for drivers can help maybe avoid some puddles will be helpful. Super cool to see that. Hardware, they're going to roll out 360 hertz support on more wheels. Not sure how that's going to affect the AccuForce, but I'm not good enough of a driver to probably even notice that. Some bad news for some people. UI is not here yet. They are still working on it. This looks like, I believe, some variations of what it's looking like. Still a work in progress. I'm assuming that blue bar there next to the brake is kind of where your peak pressure was. And you kind of see where your peak pressure was, and you could back off. Not quite sure what these up down arrows are. Not sure if that's for like gear shift, or maybe you could make some adjustments. Here, this looks pretty similar minus the font. I actually am liking this side a little bit better. Couldn't really explain why, maybe just consistent. Obviously here you can kind of see, I believe these are license colors, or actually that's probably class. But yeah, no, it's still a work in progress. I think there's some people that are bummed out about that. I don't think it's changing that much. I also use JRT. I'm going to actually try to produce a video either late this week, early next week on what I use and what it looks like. Somebody mentioned that they would love to see that, and I've been just a little behind on videos, so that'll be coming out. But yeah, no, bad news for people who were looking forward to this. I think it's not that big of a deal. Let them work on it, get it right. Rendering engine, that's still a project. They're saying it's going tremendously well. I would say based on the timeline of the information they're giving us and kind of how things have worked around the rain, I'm thinking we're probably looking another year or so before we get that. But they're looking to make it more GPU driven versus CPU, which is great. Let's make it rely on the more expensive part. I'm kidding. I'm just being negative. That was a joke. But yeah, no, it looks like they're about to do an in-house town hall where they're going to kind of show it off amongst each other, what they're working on, if I've understood that properly. Physics, we are looking to constantly update stuff. Like I said, we got the GTP update, IndyCar updates coming, NASCAR and GT3. I would love to see updates come to like the GT4. I've been driving a little bit of that. Not a fan of it, especially when you kind of go from the M2, which has so much character, to go into a GT4 where it's just like mash your brake, ABS is doing all the work. That might just be the nature of the car, but I would love to try the GT3 after the rework, and maybe hopefully it's more dynamic, and that will one day come to the GT4s. Career mode was put on hold temporarily. We took a momentary side quest. I think that's great. iRacing's not known for career mode. I think it'd be a good thing to add one day, but definitely let's put that on the back burner compared to some of these updates. There's some other stuff here they mentioned that I think's more above a lot of our heads. They're doing stuff on the Oracle's cloud, which helps them work a little quicker, I believe. Demo drive maintenance are now integrated directly within the application. So there's just some stuff there. Now, fun stuff that we like to talk about, new upcoming content. Mexico City is in the works. That'll probably get priority because of the NASCAR game. Miami data is there. I think they got a little more data as the race came back to town, and they got more artwork stuff, so I'm sure that'll be coming soon. They are mentioning exciting additions to GT3, GT4, and GTP. I'm assuming GTP would be like the Valkyrie or the Lamborghini. GT4, hopefully it's the Mustang or the Supra. And GT3, I don't even know. I don't follow it that closely what we're missing. One thing, and this is a very starving community, they have data to enhance our dirt road car offering. Not quite sure what that is, but somebody mentioned in Discord that it might be like a side-by-side option. Maybe that'd be kind of neat. I feel like that community can definitely use some love. Dirt road is a ton of fun, but it's been dead for so long. It's really a shame. Audio, they're doing a lot of work. Nothing, I feel like they're always doing work on audio, and I think audio is good. Boom boom, I feel like I'm just kind of stumbling through it here. Let's see, let's open this photo up here. This is the bend from a drone, so bend drone PNG. So we can see what they're working there on the bend. This looks like some extra curbing also from the bend. I feel like calling a track the bend is a little odd. I do love the dirt buildup on the curb. Need to see that. And this looks like just some more shots from what's going on here. This is from the Indy 6 hour. Not sure if this is just with the new, you kind of see the puddles build up there. Trying to show off the new art with the water. And then we got the Lotus 79. We do have some water here going up Radeon, I believe. Looks like there's dry tire. No, those wet tires. Yeah, those look like wet tires on the Lotus 79. And yeah, you can see some spray back here. So yeah, you can actually see pretty well here. You can see some outline there of a puddle, outline there of a puddle. You can see some dry line forming. So I feel like you can kind of see better where the moisture is on track. And we obviously have the puddle building up offline. So pretty cool there. This is updated foliage at Lime Rock. Foliage looks great, but it kills my FPS. So congrats for those who can actually utilize that. Got Martinsville here. You can see the train tracks. I believe I've sat there in the grandstands before. Got some foliage here on Talladega. Updated press box, I believe. And this is the terrain overhaul utilizing modern 5-layer shader. That is Phoenix, so that looks a lot better. I mean, that looks 1,000 times better. Looks like the road actually, but the fence hasn't, so still a work in progress. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Consensus, somebody's mad about something. If you go through the comments, every community got shorted in some way, shape, or form. But yeah, no, pretty good development update in my opinion. I'm really excited about the IndyCar stuff. I know I say I want to race that more, but there's just so many hours in the day. But maybe with the changes, I could put more effort into a setup because we're starting more from square one. They just got a lot of projects going on. I think it should be a fun and good build. I'll be curious to see how racing is in the Ferrari challenge. And yeah, no, that's it. So hopefully this was helpful. I feel like every YouTuber does this. I was going to record this last night, but then I was like, you know what, I'm not going to do it. But got some downtime today, figured we kind of go through this. I'm going to get on track and do a little practice at Watkins Glen in the M2, play around with the wet setup because that seems to be wetter there than I expected. But yeah, no, awesome. Thank you for watching. If you made it to the end here, let me know in the comments what you're looking forward to or what you wish they would work on in future builds. And yeah, with that, have a great day.